I've been meaning to tell this here story for a long time. I reckon you never heard of Lester No Legs Bedell. He was the most unmotivated slave to get his freedom. He was born with two perfectly good legs. That didn't last long because, you see, instead of being a good Negro, he would always run away when it was time for picking. Massa got tired of that, I tell you, and he took off poor Lester's legs. His ma and pa didn't have two sticks to rub together, but the one they did have, they gave to Lester. He learned to stand, dance, and even hop around on that stick. I remember one time he slipped and that stick went right up his arse. Oh, that tickled me. But when it came to work, you see, Lester had no motivation. So he woke up one morning and packed his satchel and hopped his ass to freedom. About a half-mile down the road, he sees a town. It had a big sign in front. It said Ghetto, population, lots of Negroes, and 5 Kardashians. There were 3 men standing at the entrance. They called themselves the 3 Kings. You had LeBron, Don, and Martin the Luther. Just then he saw the most beautiful woman he ever did seen crawling on her hands and knees. They said she is no woman at all. She is Megan Thee Stallion. Well, I be a Negro horse. They tell him to take her for a ride. He got a block down the road and a man stopped him by the name of Kanye. He asked Lester, "Where you from, fam?" He told him he was from slavery. He then yells at Lester and tells him slavery didn't happen, fam. Lester then opened his trench coat and showed him his stick. Kanye was shocked. He asked him if he needed a place to stay. He told him to go to the Kardashian Inn, but beware, Negroes go in, but they don't come out. He said, "I escaped the slavery. I can escape the Kardashians." He got a little further down the street until he saw a little man in a sparkly red coat. He says he want to be starting something. Old Lester poked him in the pee-pee with his stick, and he yelled out, "Hee hee," and started to do the funniest walk I've ever seen. It looked like he was moving forward, but he kept getting further away. It was getting dark, and Lester was getting tired. He heard a voice coming from a closet. It was a little sissy man dressed in pink. He said, "Are you looking for the Kardashians?" Lester asked him, "Why is he in the closet?" He said he was Lil Nas X, and he had to stay in there for another 250 years. Then he pointed and said, "To take your horse down to the Old Town Road and ride until you can't no more." 100 feet later, he came to the end of the road. That is when he saw them, the Kardashians, standing in front of their hotel. The sign out front said, "Negroes come, but they don't go." Lester was so tired he had to go in and get some shut-eye. A pretty lady with a big old booty showed him to his room. Her name was Kim. She asked if it was okay if she kept him company. She laid on the bed and started removing her clothes. All of a sudden, her mama jumps out from under the bed with a magic picture machine. She started taking those magic pictures and then tells Lester if he doesn't marry Kim, she's going to get them to his massa. Then, to his surprise, Martin Luther King came out of the closet and said, "Now I pronounce you man and wife." Just like that, Lester and Kim were married. Kim pulled him to the bed and said she was ready to consummate the marriage. He tells her he had a problem. You see, when they took his legs, well, they took all his legs. He says he doesn't have a dick, but he had a stick. Months later, to Lester's surprise, Kim had a baby born with no legs and a stick. There was no denying that baby belonged to him. She told him he had to get a job. Well, we know he has no motivation for that. So he decided now was his time to escape the Kardashians. Legend has it, he waited until everyone was catching some shut-eye, and he grabbed a pair of Kim's panties and climbed out the window. He hopped around the corner, and to his amazement, he saw it. Freedom. He had been on the outskirts of freedom all this time. even though he knew a Negro can't walk around in freedom at night. So he went to an abandoned cabin. It started to get very cold. Some say it was the coldest night on record. He needed to start a fire, so he burned his stick. That's right, the only stick he had. The next morning, he was found frozen like an ice cube.